Hey, what's up everybody? It's TheHyphenate here, and today we're going to talk about what I think is the best video monitor under $300. The Andycine C7. This thing is a beast. It's large, lightweight, fully packed with so many high-end features, and is extremely bright, works incredible in bright daylight. This is a 7-inch HDMI 1080p touchscreen video monitor and can accept a 4K input. So it does say 4K on the actual monitor, though it's not a 4K display. It can accept a 4K input, but the display itself is HD. And even with just HD, it looks great. Very clean, very crisp. It's calibrated for Rec. 709 HD color, has a 160-degree wide viewing angle, can accept external power as well as give off power, supports up to DCI 4K 24p and UHD 4K 30p video, is 2200 nit daylight viewable, so it's extremely bright, which is roughly about 4 times as bright as other conventional field monitors around this price point. Has a 4K throughput, has built-in LUTs as well as can have LUTs imported, and has multiple professional imaging tools. Now, I've been using the C7 for a few weeks now, indoors and outdoors, and I can honestly say that I prefer to shoot with the monitor on. It definitely helps make sure that everything is composed better, even when I'm at a further distance. Like for example, right now when I'm doing YouTube videos, I'm right now just viewing this video right now with a Sony a7S III, the little monitor that's built in, the little flip screen, and I have pretty bad eyesight, so I can kind of see that, you know, the framing is decent, but I can't even see if I'm in focus or anything like that. With the C7, and doing YouTube videos, being able to flip, mirror, horizontal, vertical, and a lot of other features that we're gonna get into in a bit. This has actually helped make my workflow a lot better to make sure that I feel confident in what I'm shooting, that everything's in focus, and that I can see everything clearly. All right, so here's the C7. It's actually really nice, very well built for it being a plastic build. It's not very robust, it's not very sturdy, but for the size, actually having it made out of mostly plastic is actually a big benefit because it's actually very lightweight. Compared to other monitors around this size, this is actually really light. Now, as you can see, the screen that's actually viewable doesn't go all the way to the edge of the frame of the C7. It actually has maybe about a 1/2 inch border around. So it's about a 7-inch screen, but then there's also about another inch or so around in total border. Now on the top, there are no mounting options. It kind of would have been nice for there to be a 1/4 inch 20 thread on top, but there isn't. There is a menu scroll wheel that also is pressable for it to be a selection button. And on the other side on top are 3 function buttons that are customizable. So you can choose whatever you want it to be for each of those buttons. We'll touch more on that in a bit. On the left side, we have a power button. We also have a 1/4 inch 20 mounting thread and a headphone jack to monitor audio. We also have another 1/4 inch 20 mounting thread, as well as an SD card slot. Now this is used if you want to import any LUTs. So if you're using S-Log or some type of footage that's more flat and you want to import your own LUT to have the final look on your monitor, then you can definitely do that easily. Now on the bottom, we have another 1/4 inch 20 thread, and we also have 2 DC ports. One of them is an input and one is an output. So if you get an external power adapter, you can actually plug this in without using the batteries. Now with the DC out, you can actually use an 8.4 volt output to actually power up your camera or other devices that use 8.4 volts. So these are actually really awesome features. Now off to the sides, you see an HDMI input and an HDMI out. So the HDMI in is gonna be from your camera into your monitor. And then the HDMI out is a throughput, so that way you can continue your feed from your camera into another source, like an external recorder. Now on the back of the unit, we have 2 Sony MPF battery slots. The awesome thing about this is that it actually operates on just 1 battery. Or you can have 2 to extend your battery life, or you can use it in a hot swappable setting. So you can have 1 battery on, and if that battery starts to die, then you get another battery, plug it in while it's still on without turning off the unit, and then remove the dying battery, and everything continues to go. There's no stoppage, which allows you to pretty much keep going indefinitely. Now the C7 does come with this bracket arm here that connects to your cold shoe on your camera, and then it allows you to tilt your monitor up and down, or even flip it fully so you can actually mirror it easily if you wanted to. However, I'm not a big fan of this. It feels a little flimsy. It is made out of metal, but it doesn't feel very solid. And my biggest issue is this cold shoe mount that it has here, where you can put accessories on the side. It's too close to the tightening screw for the monitor that it actually makes it hard to put bigger devices, such as wireless microphone receivers. Now I did purchase a couple accessories for the C7, and one is this pretty awesome cold shoe adapter for monitors, which is made by Small Rig. It's actually really small, very sturdy, and it actually allows you to just put it here in the center, and so then you don't have a big arm bracket on the side taking up more space. Also, I got these 1/4" to 1/4" screws, so that way I can actually put them on the sides so I can actually mount more accessories on the side of the monitor. Now, a lot of monitors in this price range don't come with batteries, and the ones that do usually come with smaller capacity batteries. However, the C7 comes with a Sony NPF 750 battery, which is a pretty medium-sized battery that does last a good amount of time with this monitor. Aside from the included handle and the battery, you do get a battery charger with a USB micro to Type A, but it doesn't come with a power brick. So you do need some type of brick that has a Type A that goes into a wall in order to charge your battery. It also comes with an HDMI to micro HDMI and an HDMI to mini HDMI cable. Though I really don't know why they didn't include an HDMI full size to HDMI full size. I have a Sony a7S III that does use a full size HDMI port, so having a cable like that would be ideal to be included. Now, another great thing about the C7 package is that it does come with a great case. So you have a case here that not only holds the C7, but also has enough room for all the included accessories. It can literally hold everything in here on this half, and then you have the C7 that can go in here, and it does have this little protective piece here to make sure that the screen doesn't get scratched. So here we have the monitor plugged into my Sony a7C, and I'm gonna go through the menus and kind of just show you the functionality of this and how easy it is to work with and all the awesome features it has, because it's loaded with features. So first and foremost, this is a touchscreen monitor. So a really awesome thing is that the left side up and down allows you to change the backlight, and the right side allows you up and down to change the volume of the HDMI audio coming in. So here we have right here currently at the lowest backlight setting. If I start to scroll up, obviously right now at full brightness, it's overexposing in my camera. But here we are at backlight 1. And the lowest setting is not really dark. It's actually pretty decent indoors. Now again, if I swipe on the right side, you'll see right there it says volume. So if you're trying to monitor the audio using the headphone jack, then this is great to be able to easily change your volume. Now if you swipe up from the bottom, it actually opens up this little quick menu here. You can have your grid on or off. I personally always use my grid. You can have a safety marker on. You can choose the different percentages or aspect ratios. You can have a center marker, which I like to always have on. Marker matte, you can actually put a matte on if you definitely know that you're gonna be shooting in a specific aspect ratio. So essentially it blacks out whatever is outside of the frame. False color, LUT switch. Now you do have options to have different LUTs that are in this actual monitor, or again, using the SD memory card slot, you can actually change the type of LUT that you want to activate with this button. Now on the top right, you can see the battery power currently. And then if you double tap on the screen, you actually open up the menu. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there is a menu button on top that allows you to actually push in the button as well as scroll. If you push in the button, it actually opens up the menu on the bottom. And then from here, you can actually scroll through the quick menu. And then if you want to get out of it, just tap on the screen and you'll get out of that. Now, if at any point you actually want to disable the touchscreen functionality, all you have to do is press the power button once, a quick click, and now the touch operation is off. So that way you don't have to worry about accidentally pressing something here on the screen and changing a setting when you're actually trying to shoot something. And then just press that button one more time, and now touch operation is back on. All right, so we're gonna double tap and go into the menu, and now we're gonna go page by page to see the actual functions that we can adjust. So here on the first page, you have focus assist, zebra, monochrome, false color, or you can go back. Now the next page allows you to change your grid, safety markers, the center marker, marker matte, marker color. So right now we see we have yellow colors. If you wanted to change that, you could to whatever color you prefer. I actually like the yellow personally. And then again, we go to return. Now on the next page, you can change your scan mode. So you can go under scan, over scan. I just keep it at under. Then under that, you have video aspect. You can choose auto, which will be dictated by whatever the HDMI feed that's coming in has. Then you can choose if you want anamorphic mode, auto mirror. This is actually allows you to, if you flip upside down or backwards, it does do auto, but I always have that off. Sometimes it's a little glitchy. I recommend not having that on. Now here you can actually flip horizontally or vertically. So here you can actually do your mirror manually. So on right there, we did a mirror horizontally, or right here on flip V, that's for vertical, you can change it there as well. Now the great thing about these is that it allows you to, if you're doing a selfie mode or if you're doing any product overhead shots, you can easily change that with these flips. Now before we continue, I actually have them set as my programmable buttons on top. So like I said, we have 3 function buttons. My function 1 is to flip horizontally, so to mirror sideways. And then my function 2 is to flip vertical. And I click it again, and now I go. So these function buttons are awesome. And for that specifically, for me, because I do a lot of YouTube stuff, so that comes in handy a lot. Then my function 3 is my focus assist. All right, now let's go back into the menu. Now underneath the flip options, you also have zoom times. And here you can actually zoom in if you needed to really dial in to see if something was in focus or not. Now keep in mind, this is not actually being recorded. Again, this is not an external recorder, so whatever you zoom in here is not gonna affect what's actually on your camera. It does take a little while. You have to hold it, and it does kind of zoom in and out pretty slow, but it's a pretty cool feature that it has. Now with freeze on, it actually, no matter what you do, if you cover the lens or anything, it kind of does like a screenshot type of vibe where it just kind of just keeps whatever the last thing was that it saw, and it leaves that on the screen the entire time. And then you can see pixel to pixel if you want. Now on the next page, you have all waves, you have parade, vector, RGB, histogram, etc. All waves on will actually turn on your parade, vector, and RGB histogram. So here you'll see all of that, as well as your audio levels coming in as well. Now, if you don't need to see the full screen, this is actually a pretty awesome feature to have. Now, if you know that you only care about 1 or 2 of these, you can actually choose them individually. So let's go ahead and turn all waves off. Now we're gonna just put parade on. You have your parade there. You have your vector up here, or your RGB down here. So if you actually don't want the screen to be smaller with all the 3 windows open, then you don't do all waves. You do them individually here, and now they're kind of out of your way. Now in the parade, you can actually choose also between Y, YUV, and RGB. Then you also have your audio meter, which comes up here. We have your histogram that pops up over here. Now with all of those individually on, you can see that they're all here kind of out of the way, so the majority of your shot still is filling up the entire frame without too much blockage. But again, if you want everything without being in front of the shot, then you would go to all waves and put that on. And then now the full screen of the actual camera is here with nothing intruding or going over it. Now we're gonna turn all that off for now. Now the next page is GRB. Here you can turn on your LUTs. So here, whatever the built-in LUT is right now, you can put that on, and then by default, it usually goes to S-Log2, but you can choose between LUTs that it already has built in. So we have S-Log2, S-Log3, Log G, V-Log, and go back. Now currently on my camera, I'm not using any log, so I'm gonna definitely take that off. And then if you put any LUTs in your SD card here, you can import them. So you can put initializing and it'll start to look for it, but I don't have any. I don't have an SD card on here, so obviously it's gonna say access fail. Now, if you're shooting an HDR, you can turn that on and you can choose between different HLG profiles. Then you can choose your color temperature. Now, I normally just leave it at 5600 Kelvin, but if you know that you're like in a certain lighting environment, then you can definitely change that to whatever you need. Backlight mode, there's auto and there's manual. I highly recommend being in manual and just yourself, you changing the backlight as you need it. The auto sometimes is kind of all over the place. Sometimes it cranks up too high, sometimes too low, and sometimes when you're not even doing anything or changing your environment. So it's not super reliable for it to be on auto. I recommend doing it manually. Now here you can also change the backlight here or through touch, as I showed you earlier, whichever you prefer. Now there are also brightness, contrast, and saturation settings here. Now what I personally do is I try to match my brightness, contrast, and saturation to the actual brightness, contrast, and saturation that's on my camera. So whatever my monitor is on my camera, I try to make sure that this is set to that. So that way it looks as close as it can to what's on my camera. Now the next page is the settings. Now the next setting we have is the wheel. You can choose what the wheel does. So here, currently we have the wheel go to zoom, which is actually pretty cool. Now we can change it from zoom to volume to backlight, but we already have the backlight and the volume by touch, so zoom times is actually pretty good. Then after that, we have your F1, F2, F3 buttons up here. You can choose whatever you want them to be. I have them set to, like I said, flip horizontally for 1, flip vertically for 2, and then focus assist for 3. Then from here, you can change the language if you want to. OSD alpha, you can put low, middle, high. I keep that off. OSD time. Then you can have your actual volume, which again, we can adjust by touch. Then you can mute, you can reset if you like. And then here you can also do a firmware update. I'll show you guys how to do that on another video. We'll return, and those are pretty much all the settings that you can adjust on this monitor. Like I said, this thing is packed with features that a lot of other expensive monitors have. So it's actually pretty awesome for this affordable monitor to have so much to offer. So right now I have the C7 at its lowest brightness. And here it's actually about the same brightness as the camera's monitor. So the lowest setting here is roughly about the same here. Now I'm gonna bring up the backlight brightness here on the C7, and you'll see how much brighter it gets. Right now, it's at 100, the brightest it can get backlight. And honestly, that's a little overkill. That's actually more bright than I actually need it to be. Again, we're directly in the sun. If I bring this down to probably about 75, even 70, this is actually perfect. This actually looks perfectly fine. So it really, really works fantastic in the brightest conditions. Again, bring it to 100, that's more than I need. It works awesome. So if you are someone that shoots often in bright daylight, this is the monitor you want to get. All right, so now let's talk about using the C7 on a gimbal. Now, it is pretty large, it's pretty thick, and by putting multiple batteries, it can get a little heavier, though it's not super heavy because the actual monitor itself is lightweight. Now, one thing that I would definitely recommend if you're using this on a gimbal is to have some type of handle or arm that can help you hold it a little bit more stable. Because all the weight that's added to one side, this would make it a lot more comfortable so you can hold it for longer periods of time. So it is another thing you have to add on, but if you get a sturdy, lightweight handle, it definitely makes it a lot more comfortable and allows you to definitely get all the types of shots that you would want without it being too uncomfortable that you start to jeopardize the stability. So there you guys have it. That's my review of the Andycine C7. I highly recommend it if you're in the market for a budget-friendly video monitor. Has a lot of features, is great outdoors, and honestly is something that is worth getting. It's only about $300, sometimes a little less on special, or a little bit more if you get a bundle package with extra batteries. I do have links in the description where you can purchase it. It doesn't change the price that you get it at, but it does help this channel. Please make sure to drop a like on this video, drop a comment below if you have any questions, and please make sure to subscribe. I have a lot more videos coming soon. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.